something's a bit different. Oh yeah, new backdrop. But this is no ordinary backdrop. This one hides something. This video is brought to you with support from Train Junkies. Train Junkies is a manufacturer of model railroad photorealistic backdrops from Z-scale all the way to G-scale. They can do custom backdrops too. Check them out at trainjunkies.com in the link in the description. Today I'm going to show you how I made this backdrop that hides the return to my staging track and makes it appear that there is a single track on the module behind me. Let's get into it. For this video, you're going to need 2 sheets of black foam core, a hobby knife, some scissors, and a backdrop of your choice along with some glue. I am going to be adding a photo backdrop to mine from Train Junkies. Now, Train Junkies makes model railroad photo backdrops from Z all the way to G scale. These highly detailed and highly accurate photo backdrops can make your layout look amazing, frankly. They've done wonders for mine already. They even do custom backdrops as well as streets and roads. So if you're in the market for a photo backdrop, check out Train Junkies at trainjunkies.com or on their eBay store. I can tell you that they have fantastic customer service. I ordered the first version of this backdrop and it actually got completely lost in the mail. It is completely gone, no idea where it is. I hit them up and they just sent me another one, which was amazing. So trainjunkies.com or check them out on eBay. First, I need to get the right size for the backdrop. Now for this, I'm actually going to put it in between 2 tracks on this middle module right behind me. So I need it to be thin and stable, and that's why I use the black foam core, and I put them 2 together to get my measurements, and I cut their length to size and tape them together using painter's tape, just like I did this backdrop over here behind the feed mill. Next, I need to cut their height to size. I roll the backdrop across the foam core. Now, because I have a sky backdrop already behind me, I'm going to cut along the tree line and make this a trees-only backdrop that kind of mimics a hillside in the backdrop, which you can see right here. This will be blocking the review of my return to staging track that goes along the back of the layout. I need to hold it in place while I cut, but I made a bit of a boo-boo doing this. I thought some sensitive surface painter's tape would hold it down and be easy to remove once I was done doing my cut. Well, I was wrong on that. So don't make my mistake. Use spring clamps or something similar to hold your photo backdrop down if you want to do this cut like this. I ended up ripping some of the photo part of the backdrop off, and don't worry, I figured out a workaround. Obviously, I still have it right here, so we are good to go, but I would advise against using any sort of even super sensitive painter's tape to just hold it down. I just use a little bit, thank goodness, but yeah. Now I can attach the backdrop. To glue the backdrop down, I'm going to apply a bunch of white glue here, and then I'm going to use a paint spreader to create a uniform flat covered surface. Now you can use a scraper, anything pretty much with a flat surface that's going to be able to push it down nice and flat. And this is going to minimize the wrinkles from the gluing process. Anyone who's tried to just spread glue across a surface and then roll something on it knows the wrinkles and the bubbles that I'm talking about. This will minimize that. I then lay the backdrop across. Now the backdrop came in a roll, which means I need to hold it in place as it dries so that it doesn't go flying up. So I grab anything I can and weigh it down, literally just throwing everything on there. Now once it is dry, I can attach the backdrop to the module. So here's the trick to attaching this. I do not need this to be fully permanent. If I need to move the module, then I'll need to remove that backdrop. So I'm going to use hot glue to install it. And I start by cutting 4 of these little L brackets that I have out of leftover foam core. And I eyeball the measurements to make sure that the train could run under them and go through them kind of like a tunnel. I then glue them in place to the backdrop and to the module base using a hot glue gun. Once this was done, I did some test running of trains to figure out exactly where I needed to adjust. There was a little bit of rubbing. I do recommend getting your longest, most least clearance cars and locomotives going on this, and make sure that you are getting them at speed, slow, all this kind of stuff when you're testing this, just to make sure that they don't run into things. All right, I've got a good looking backdrop here, and so I took the remainder and attached it behind the layout right over there, and just to help blend it in, you can see it kind of makes a nice backdrop, a nice smooth scene right there. The only issue that I have is that the edge is pretty obvious right over here, and I do not expect it to be perfect, but I do want it to look better and a bit more blended, so I do need to blend it in. I start with a few pre-made trees from JT Scenery. You can use Woodland Scenics or whatever your preference is, and I glue those in place on their bases, and then I use some coarse turf to blend them into the scenery that I have already done. Now I then use some clump foliage from Woodland Scenics to blend the rest of it in, and this includes hiding the edge at the base of the backdrop, and this just does just enough to hide it and keep that papery look away and just let you have a quick look, and it's going to look okay. The last thing I do is take a black permanent marker and just barely color in some of the white frayed edges on the backdrop I have from cutting it, and this actually worked out pretty great. It just needs to take some of the highlights and the contrast away so that it's not as noticeable. And here is the final result. Now this is not the end of backdrop placement. I have a lot more to do. I got some more to do over there. I got some more to do right here. I've got some more to do over there, and maybe even replacing this one. But this is going to all come in a future video, so be on the lookout for that. If you like this, the way this looks, definitely check out Train Junkies. They have a lot of different backdrops, including those custom ones that you can get done. I've got them linked in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.